Alright, so this is my video explaining Virgo ascendant, and I'm just getting right into it. I'll be looking at my phone periodically from time to time just to look at the notes that I took. I didn't take too many notes when it came to this, so hopefully it goes well for the fucking both of us. So, Virgo ascendant. First, I'd like to look at what is a thing that I noticed with Virgo by looking, with a sign, by looking at all the nakshatras that fall into that sign. So, Uttara Falguni, we have the bull as the yoni animal, and the bull can be associated with Nandi the bull, who is considered to be the vehicle of Shiva, or this person or animal that's like on the right hand side, or the right hand man of Shiva. The lore story in a nutshell with this character, Nandi the bull, is that a sage wanted to have a kid and he prayed to Shiva and Shiva gave him a kid, but the kid was seen by like two sages or whatever, and the sages was like, hey man, I don't think your son is going to live for a very long time. The guy was sad, and the son, Nandi, found out why the father was sad, and I believe the son just ended up praying to Shiva. Shiva ended up blessing the kid and making sure he have a long life, and also made him like his right hand man. And that's the end of Nandi, essentially the story and lore of Nandi the bull. What you see from that side of Virgo and Uttara Falguni is that they have the ability to overcome seemingly impossible tasks. There's this old man who wants to have a kid. He was unable to have one for whatever reason, and he's blessed with a kid. The kid was prophesized to not live for a very long time. Through prayer, the kid was able to outlive the prophesized short time that was seen for him. Then we look at Hasta Nakshatra, where the yoni animal is a female buffalo, and the female buffalo can be associated with this asura named Mahini, and it could also be associated with this other asura known Mahishasura. But I'll explain both tales of the asuras. So with Mahishasura, essentially it's a male buffalo. It's like a male buffalo that had asked for a wish, or had a wish granted, that it could be invulnerable to like all the male gods. Nothing could defeat or harm this animal, this demon. So the gods, they ended up creating the goddess Durga, some female goddess who is portrayed riding on a lion, and I think in some artworks or depictions she's portrayed riding on a tiger, but lion or tiger, you see this female goddess riding this animal and ends up defeating this seemingly invincible being. She succeeds because she's a female goddess, not a male goddess. That's why she succeeds. So what do we see from this tale and story is that in the Hasta side of Virgo, the Virgo native could become very mischievous with their knowledge and intellect, gain this superiority ideology and complex, and the Virgo native should be careful to not become too drunk on their own knowledge and intelligence and skills and power, or else they could become humbled. But what I can just see with this side of the Virgo native, that they can become very arrogant off their gifts, talents, and abilities. Then, if we go and look at the Chitra side of Virgo, we see that, well, my bad, let me finish the other story with Hasta before I jump into Chitra. So still with Hasta, since it's a female buffalo, there was another demon known as Mahini, which was the sister of Mahishasura. She asked for a wish that only a son, or it might not have been specifically a son, but only an offspring of Vishnu and Shiva could defeat her, could harm her. Other than that, she has invulnerability. And this is a very clever and slick wish to ask for, to have granted, because it's obviously two male deities, two men can't create a kid. So what happens is that Vishnu incarnates himself as a woman, and through this incarnation as a woman, him and Shiva was able to create a kid, and this offspring was known as Ayappa. Ayappa was born into some family where the mother was pregnant or about to have a kid, and with Ayappa being born before her kid was to be born, she would have to give up the throne that that she was married into. She would have to give up the throne to a kid that's not even hers, due to Ayappa being older than the kid that she didn't have yet. So she is jealous and comes up with a scheme to get Ayappa killed. The scheme or plan was to have her tell him that in order to heal some illness or whatever she was facing or dealing with that she faked, that she would need the milk of a tigress. So she sends him into the woods and to go get some milk from a tiger, hoping that he would die. But he doesn't die. He succeeds. He succeeds in getting the milk or whatever from the tigress. He comes back to the palace or the land riding a tiger with a pack of cubs following him. So and then he eventually ends up, growing up and defeating this Mahini character. So, yet again, focusing on the character of Mahini, we see that with her intelligence, she made a very clever wish. That unlike her brother wished that, just no male gods, that he's invulnerable to any male gods. So then a female god was conjured and he was defeated. She wished that the only way that she could be harmed is through, if two male gods, Vishnu and Shiva, had a kid. Very smart, because you're thinking that two men can't have a kid. But Vishnu incarnated as a woman, and boom, there came the kid that ended up killing Mahini. Then we jump to Chitra, which I also believe is a female. I know it's a tiger for sure, but I believe it's a female tiger or a male tiger. But it's a tiger for sure. The tiger ends up, it's a tiger. And the only tale I can tell about Chitra with tigers is the one I just told you. So it's real funny that with Virgo, the Hasta Chitra side, that there's like a connection with the buffalo and the tiger, and the lore that I told you with the demonic buffalo and the tiger, and then the goddess Durga riding like a lion or a tiger, and then Ayappa riding a tiger with a pack of cubs following him. So there's like a connection with tigers, of course, and definitely with the Chitra side, no bullshit. But we just see with all three of these nakshatras that there is a tale. Just you can see solely just from the yoni, there's a tale of them overcoming seemingly impossible tasks and obstacles. What else do I have to say about the Virgo ascendant with the nakshatras. And then if you look at Uttara Falguni with the buffalo, yeah, no, not the buffalo, with the bull. Think about bulls. Bulls can be real competitive because they're associated with competitions. They're associated with matadors and all that good stuff. Bull riding, you're riding a bull, a mechanical bull. So competitions and aggression and competitiveness can be seen in the Uttara Falguni side of Virgo. And then you have in the Hasta side of Virgo, you have what do you have? You have the buffalo, where you have the female and the male buffalo, Mahini and Mahishasura, who use their intelligence or wickedness, or the intelligence for wickedness, to be invulnerable, to be invincible. And it ends up backfiring. They end up getting humbled. You have Ayapa riding on a tiger, taming a tiger, and ends up defeating this Mahini woman who had invulnerability to everything but an offspring of Shiva and Vishnu. They overcome the odds. That's what they overcome. I'm trying to think. That's the main thing that I've seen. So, in a universal sense, I guess you could say that with Virgo, you could see the superiority complex. They feel superior. You can't tell them shit. They feel superior is what I see. In their superiority can make them feel real arrogant and confident in oneself and abilities. And you need to be careful about that. And the Virgo side, and the Uttara Falguni side, because Uttara Falguni is a nakshatra of partnerships and leadership, being among the people and of the people. And Virgo originally comes from the 6th house of servants and slaves. So I would say with Virgo and Uttara Falguni, through the Virgos, maybe selfless acts or acts of taking care of society and their community and bettering things and people around them, they could naturally ascend to a leadership capability, to a leadership role based upon their acts of welfare towards people. Like, they could not even try to maybe be like some type of leader, but because they take care of maybe their community, they're good at fixing and resolving things around them. They're just naturally looked up to for answers and as a leader, even though they don't aspire, maybe aim for the leadership ability. And then in Hasta, they can be real mischievous with their intelligence and knowledge. And then with the Chitra side, because the deity of Chitra is the celestial architect, if my memory serves right from the books I read on nakshatras back in the past, the celestial architect didn't get along well with Indra. Indra is the king or the god of the Devas, the leader of the Devas. And the celestial architect is good at creating weapons and all these other things. And him and Indra ends up butting heads. So with that little observation, you could just see that the Chitra side of Virgo may not get well with bosses and authority and leadership and all that good stuff. They would naturally maybe ascend to a leadership or a boss-like role and position based upon their own skills and abilities. What do I got to say? That's all I can think of when it comes to that universal role of things I see for Virgo Ascendant. Intelligence, cockiness, arrogance, a sense of superiority, naturally ascending to a leadership position or role based upon how skilled they are and their ability to help others and resolve issues and all that good stuff. That's what I see for Virgo ascendant in a universal general sense. Now we get into, and then boom, you have Mercury. Mercury is exalted in the first house, and then you have Venus debilitated in the first house. Mercury would gain directional strength in the first house for Virgo ascendant. You just see how naturally intelligent and sharp a Virgo ascendant person can be and is. And then naturally, as I've said in other videos, and probably a few other videos in the past, mutable ascendants naturally have difficult karmas with relationships. Just naturally. But I'm not going to get into all the different combinations. I'll just focus on the Virgo. So with Virgo, you have, Virgo in the first house, Pisces in the 7th house. The planet that rules Virgo is Mercury. The planet that rules Pisces is Jupiter. Mythologically, these two planets do not get along well with each other. Mercury is the offspring of Moon and the offspring of Jupiter's wife, Tara. Tara has an affair with the Moon because Jupiter is so caught up in his work. And Mercury is the result of their hooking up. And there's a war that breaks out between Moon and Jupiter. Moon doesn't end up taking or keeping Mercury. Mercury supposedly just goes back to his mom Tara and his stepfather Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't want this kid. Supposedly he hexes or curses the kid. And then from things that I've read either in a book or online, I think at one point after Mercury ran away, some being or somebody comes and approaches Mercury and wants to have sex with Mercury, and Mercury then declines the offer, and Mercury is cursed to be a eunuch. And I forgot to look up what the word eunuch means. I've looked it up before in the past and I don't really quite understand it even after I had looked up the definition. But my assumption, the way that I interpreted and took it, was just somebody who is sexually, I don't know, they're just sexually dysfunctional. They are unable to maybe, at least for a guy, they can maybe be castrated, or something could just be done to them where they are not able to perform sexually. So yes. So think about it. If you was a person, and I forgot what was the curse that Jupiter put on Mercury. Don't quote me. I'm not sure. I forgot that also. But imagine if you was someone who was born with two sexual organs. You was born with a penis and a vagina. You was born with both of them. You was cursed to be born with both of them. Now you're a bit confused because you don't know if you should like men or women. Then you run away from home and you decline the sexual offer of somebody, and then they go and you decline their sexual offer, and then they go and curse you to just, I don't know, have sexual performance issues, and now you struggle to get erections. Now you can't have sex, and you don't know what you should be attracted to. You're confused. So you may just completely abstain from romantic, intimate connections and relationships altogether. And in a sense, this makes you pure, and this makes you innocent, because you don't know. I mean, it makes you poor. It makes you pure and innocent in a sense. I guess in a sense it would make you a goddamn virgin. Hence the moniker or title that's associated with Virgo. So I guess with that type of lore associated with Mercury, this explains why, if you're a Gemini ascendant or Virgo ascendant, that is believed or seen that they are very youthful in appearance. There's a youthfulness. There's a childlike quality associated with the Mercurial ascendants, Virgo and Gemini. And then we look at, the opposite of Virgo, which is Pisces in the 7th house. And with Pisces in the 7th house, the planet associated with that is Jupiter. I told you why Mercury and Jupiter don't get along together. So with this 1-7 axis, think of like the Virgo ascendant person is like this child, this kid. And with the Pisces in the 12th, the Pisces in the 7th, they may naturally attract this older, maybe mature person who maybe always try to school them and give them knowledge and game and wisdom. This is probably more so seen with Gemini ascendant, with Sagittarius being in the 7th versus Virgo with Pisces in the 12th. With Pisces in the 7th. But you still might see this theme play out of you dating or attracting and settling down with this older, maybe more wiser, mature person who always just feels like they're your damn parent, your dad or mom or whatever. And they may be turned off by, in a sense, your, I don't want to say naivety, but maybe your youthfulness or childlike qualities and behavior and ways and sense. There could definitely be a clash between this 1-7 axis just because of the difference of the two opposing planetary rulers of the signs. But you just naturally see that difficulty with the mutable ascendants when you break them down like that. Then with Pisces being in the 7th house, you naturally have like that energy of the 12th house coming into the 7th house, which is the 12th house is the Dashana house, a house of loss and distance and foreign lands and all that good stuff. So there could just be this abstract or absence or distance, spacious energy within the intimate one-on-one connections and relationships in the 7th house. But before I dive all into that, let's go in chronological order of 1, 2, 3, 4, all the damn houses and stuff. With the first house, with Virgo being there, bringing in that energy of the 6th house into the ascendant, it originally comes from the 6th house, which is associated with health and guts and intestines and diseases and servitude, small pets and animals, and enemies and routine things and obstacles. That's what the 6th house is associated with. The Virgo individual's main focus in life could be their health, could be their eating habits, could be debt, because the 6th house is associated with prarabdha karma, which is karma and actions that we must fulfill and do in this lifetime. So, I don't know, in a general sense, the Virgo innate individual might have some karma with debt, might not like to have debt, or they could feel indebted to having to, in some way, shape, or form, better and improve society. That's what they could feel like they have to do. Better and improve and shape society. Due to Virgo coming from that 6th house of day-to-day routine things and servants and things. But that's all I can think of when it comes to just the first house alone. So, unless something else comes to my mind, we're going to jump to the 2nd house, where you have Libra at. The 2nd house is associated with the family, like the immediate family that you come from. It's associated with your mouth, your eyes, your source of income, how you may handle your money and all that good stuff. How do you feed yourself? How do you provide for yourself? It's an Artha house, a house that is associated with how you make your gains. 2, 6, and 10th house are the Artha houses. Those houses where originally earth signs are placed in. Those are the houses that are associated with how do you provide for yourself. So with Libra there, Libra coming from the 7th house, which could give you insight on your relationships in a general sense. And if you to look at someone's chart in regards to business, a strong 7th house could also point and give insight if someone has entrepreneurial or business skills or capabilities and likelihood. Because to be a boss, to be a leader, we need to be good at interacting and dealing with people, or else you're not a boss or leader. It's just you, you know. So what else do I have to say? What else do I have to say? So yeah, Libra in the 2nd house, we could see that maybe in a general sense, people that you date romantically and attract, they could maybe have some connection to your family. Like you may meet them through your family. Maybe family could be real nosy and invested and interested and curious about who you are dating, but that might be normal people shit, who knows. With Libra in the 2nd house, maybe your parents, maybe you come from a family of entrepreneurs, real maybe people who are real good at I don't know, people who got that gab, very good at just talking to people, a people person, and maybe have like, you know, that mindset and skill of just starting up and doing their own shit, selling their own stuff. It may not be like a full-time job, but it could be like an occasional side hustle. Like occasionally, aside from their 9-to-5 job, they might craft and create some things, and they might sell them at their own time and leisure. Then you have, with this placement, what else do I have to say with this placement of Libra in the 2nd house? But yes, that's the main thing that I can think of off the top of my head. You could come from an immediate family of like business people, people who have like their own little thing going on. You may meet lovers or love interests that are maybe connected somehow or met through the family or whatnot. What else could I have to say? Sun is debilitated in Libra in the 2nd house, and Saturn is exalted. Your wealth, your sustenance could come from you, I don't know, short and simple, having to deal with people. But that's real weak and that's real fucking low and weak and not really a strong goddamn assessment. I can't think of much more to extract from Libra in the 2nd house, so therefore I'm gonna move on and jump to the next house, which is Scorpio. 3rd house is associated with siblings, specifically youngest sibling, written communication, skills with hands, nervous system, short distance travel, and surgery, because 8 places from the 8th house is the 3rd house. So surgery can be seen from like the 3rd house or the 8th house and stuff. Those are like the main major things that you can see from the 3rd house. Now, with that being stated and said, we could see, because you see Scorpio, the moon is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. And K2 is supposed to be, aside from Mars, supposed to be the co-ruler of Scorpio. Then you have aside from him being the co-ruler of Scorpio, you got Scorpio originally coming from the 8th house. The 8th house is associated with secrets, death, transformation, sexual organs, and yeah, short, simple, death, surgery, psychological stuff, trauma, all those type of negative things, whatever. Occult, taboo, secrets, hidden things. There could naturally be, the Virgo person could love to maybe discuss secrets or uncover secrets, with Scorpio being in the 3rd house. Maybe this sounds stupid, but bear with me. Maybe communicating and talking and writing and social media can be stressful and draining to the Virgo person, because Moon is debilitated in Scorpio. Moon is the mind and the emotions. So the mind and emotions can feel stressed out and drained when it is dealing with maybe the youngest sibling or siblings, when it has to do a lot of quick, short travels, when it has to write, when it has to do a bunch of communicating or whatever. I guess this maybe is ironic or stereotypical of a Virgo, but they might get drained socially with Moon being debilitated in Scorpio in the 3rd house. I could see that. What else do I have to say with this placement? Yeah, and then lastly, it could just be issues with issues with siblings could possibly be seen with Moon debilitated in Scorpio, or just the Scorpio in the 3rd house. Karmas or difficult karma or relationship with siblings. Then we can jump to the 4th house, where you have Sagittarius there. Sagittarius, the 4th house is associated with indoor dwellings. Maybe relationship with mother or mother figure, your home, things that represent that security of being in your mother's womb and your mother's arm. And typically you feel real secure in a school, in a house, and in your car. That is where you feel real comfortable and secure at. Sagittarius originally come from the 9th house, representing the guru and teachings and all those fine things. You could naturally easily say that for the Virgo, the mother or mother figure could be a source of your guidance and intelligence and wisdom. You could maybe learn or gain a lot from the mother. You could maybe learn a lot of knowledge and wisdom within your own home, through your car, through your own dwelling. Short and simple. If not the mother, your own personal home is where sources of knowledge and guidance and direction just comes into you through your mother figure, and through your home. Some way, somehow, you gain knowledge and wisdom. Short and simple with the 4th house. Ain't really too much to go on with the 4th house of Sagittarius. Then we jump to, I'm sorry if I'm moving fast and sound like I'm being lazy, but if I don't got much to say, I'm not going to just tell y'all things that I'm not confident about saying if I'm not sure, just to say it. Boom, the 5th house is Capricorn, where you have Mars exalted and you have Jupiter debilitated. The 5th house is associated with children and learning and creativity, and that's the main thing that it's associated with. And the sign of Capricorn is there. Capricorn, look at all this, the nakshatras in Capricorn. It is associated with warriors and conquerors, strong-minded people. Capricorn originally comes from the 10th house of career. So when you maybe have children, Or yeah, when you have children, if you have children, you could create little strong-minded children. You could create and give birth to strong-minded children. Or you have kids, and maybe the kids, they could end up being the ones conquering you. They could end up dominating you in a sense. So either children with strong minds and personalities and bosses and little entrepreneurs, or maybe the kid could end up being just very dominating and end up dominating you if you're not careful. Or you raise the kid to be very disciplined and whatnot. If we look at the 6th house, I'm trying to think, is there anything for me to say in a general sense with the 5th house for Virgo? There really isn't much I can think of for the 5th house in Virgo and Capricorn. But yeah, that's the general answer. Yeah. So now with the 6th house being Aquarius, 6th house is debts, illness, small pets and animals. It's death. Not death. It's debts, routine, day-to-day things we got to deal with, servants, slaves, small pets and animals, diseases. And those like the main things associated with the 6th house, also represents the guts, the intestines, and all that good stuff. You have Aquarius here, originally ruled by Saturn, co-ruled by Rahu. And to me, I just see it's an interesting house, because I see a great focus on the Virgo person needing to cater to their community, needing to cater to other people, because Aquarius originally comes from the 11th house of large social network circles, organizations, and gains. And then the 6th house is about servants and slaves and like taking care of the community, maybe taking care of pets, taking care of other people's illnesses, taking care of your bills. So it's like with Aquarius there, maybe it wants you to do that on a larger scale, on a bigger scale, or an innovative scale. And that's what I see. I'm trying to think. And then, with the co-ruler of Rahu being associated with Aquarius, you can see maybe hidden, difficult, foreign enemies, foreign diseases, difficult illnesses to diagnose or whatever. Similarly to the story I told you with the ascendant with Nandi the bull, and how Nandi was born, and then Nandi was stated to not have a long life until he prayed, and he overcame that. So, of course, with Virgo being the ascendant, coming from the 6th house, the overall focus is the health. And then with Aquarius being in the 6th house, with Saturn being the ruler, Saturn representing time and things that are long and stretched out, we can see chronic health issues. And then with Rahu being co-ruler of Aquarius, chronic, difficult health issues, maybe. But then with all these different nakshatras in Virgo, we see that the individual has the ability to accomplish and overcome the seemingly impossible. Then let's look at the 7th house with Pisces there, where Mercury is debilitated, Venus is exalted. I would say with Pisces being in the 7th house, you could naturally say that you might have a real abstract partner, a real unusual out-of-the-box partner, a real maybe spiritual partner, artsy, creative partner, a partner that may seem like they are a bit detached from goddamn reality. Like you are the Virgo in the 1st house, you're concerned about your health and your bills and these responsibilities, and then the Pisces, originally coming from the 12th house, they're like distant, or their mind is not where your mind is at. They're not so caught up and focused or in the same world of reality as you. And this disconnect can cause distance. So there could be that natural 12th house energy within the 7th house for the Virgo ascendant native, with Pisces being in the 7th house. And then on top of that, you just got the natural conflict between Mercury and Jupiter on that 1-7 axis, where maybe you could attract a more mature partner, and they might not really, you might get tired of their knowledge or wisdom. I don't know. There could definitely be a conflict of knowledge and wisdom with that 1-7 axis with Virgo and Pisces. And there could just be this disconnect or space or distance between that 1-7 axis with Virgo and Pisces. And then, what do I have to say? That's really it for the 7th house in Pisces in a general sense. You have a spiritual partner. You have an intellectual partner. And your logic might clash with their spiritualness or clash with their wisdom. You might get tired of their way of thinking and believing, and they may get tired of what they perceive to be your immature way of thinking and believing. And that can cause a conflict, and that can cause that distance between the two. Then we go and jump to the 8th house, where you have Aries. Aries being associated with the head. The 8th house associated with injuries and surgery and death and sexual organs and occult and the spouse's finances and the in-laws family. Naturally, I just see with Aries being in the 8th house that the Virgo individual could be susceptible to head injuries. That's one thing that I could say. And also maybe with Scorpio being in the 3rd house, 8th from the 8th, and Scorpio could be associated with the sexual organs, we could also see maybe some type of surgery or type of procedure may have to be done for Virgo individual sexual organs. But back to the 8th house, we see that back to the 8th house, head injuries is something that we could see. And maybe the Virgo individual, they could have a spouse, because the 8th house is the spouse's money and his family. They're your in-laws. Aries is a selfish, individualistic sign, where Sun is exalted and Saturn is debilitated. Family, your in-laws or your spouse could be maybe selfish and stingy with the wealth, with their money, with their secrets. You could be maybe real nosy or invested in your spouse's money and how they make it, how they get it. Who knows how it manifests and plays out. But I just see head injuries. Then we go to the 9th house with Taurus in the 9th house. Moon is exalted there. The 9th house is associated with the teachings of the father and father figure. The 9th house is, teachings of father and father figure and long distance travel. Ninth house is your luck, your beliefs, and all that good stuff. Taurus comes from the second house of how you make your money, how you feed yourself, how you provide for yourself. And Moon is exalted in Taurus. I would say mind and emotions feels good and calm and stable when Virgo individual is teaching. This sounds a bit contradictory to what I said with the third house of Virgo, where I said with the third house for Virgo ascendant with Scorpio being there, they can feel emotionally drained from having to communicate, from having to write, from having to do the third house things. But just because they can feel exhausted and drained from it, might not really want to do it maybe initially, they would probably also, like I said, excel at teaching and guiding and advising with the exalted moon in Taurus and the ninth house for Virgo ascendant. They could just they could just, excel at that. That's what I see for the ninth house. And then since, Taurus originally comes from the second house of, the immediate family that you come from, we can see that, the Virgo individual, and then with Moon exalted in Taurus, yet again, the mother figure or the home life, family life, could have a lot to influence on your belief systems and your knowledge and information that you just gather. Your family or the household has a role to play with your education, with your knowledge, and your belief systems, very likely. And then we go and look at the 10th house with the career and Gemini being there. Nothing is exalted or debilitated in Gemini. The 10th house is the career, maybe a relationship with father and father figure. And yeah, that goddamn simple. Gemini originally coming from the third house of siblings, youngest siblings, communication, duplicity with the twins. There could be a career filled with communication. There could be a career field where your co-workers or your target audience are young for the most part. There could be a focus with youthfulness with young workers, a young audience, communication, and having more than one job or doing more than one thing at your job. With Gemini being there, younger siblings or siblings could have a role to play with you in your jobs or getting a job at one point. Then we look at the 11th house where you have Cancer there. The 11th house is large social network circles, organizations, and gains. The 11th house can also represent the eldest sibling. And with Cancer being there, I would say that the Virgo individual probably feels nurtured or taken care of from their oldest sibling, if they have one. If they're not the oldest, they could probably feel nurtured or taken care of from their eldest sibling. They feel nurtured and taken care of or whatever when they are maybe taking care of others. For them to take care of others and provide a service to the masses, to nurture the masses, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel fulfilled and nurtured or whatever, in a sense, maybe. Yes. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Jupiter exaltation in Cancer is like nurturing people with their knowledge and wisdom. And I feel as though when Virgo essentially does that, with this Cancer in the 11th house, they feel fulfilled. They feel good. I don't know, debilitated Mars in Cancer in the 11th house. The Virgo individual probably maybe has the real, they can't maybe come off so maybe harsh or aggressive when it comes to them nurturing and taking care of others, maybe. But I'm just throwing shit against the wall. Now we move on to the final house, the 12th house. with the 12th house in Virgo, you have the 12th house in Virgo, you have Leo there, where nothing is exalted or debilitated in Leo. The 12th house is hospitals, jails, foreign lands and countries, places away from where you was born, unfamiliar environments and surroundings and lands. With Leo being there, Leo usually comes from the 5th house of children and education, because 9th and the 9th is the 5th house, so 5th house is also associated with education. That also tells me something else about Virgo, that they can maybe be hard on their children with the education, with their knowledge. But anyway, with Leo being in the 12th house, they could probably have children outside of the state that they was born in. They could, maybe you and or your children could go to school outside of the state, outside of the country. Maybe you have your kid, well, hopefully you don't, depending on your circumstances, don't have a kid in jail. But who knows? You may keep your kid a secret. It may be a while before you reveal that, hey, yes, I'm about to be a parent. 12th house could be secrets and stuff. Hidden things. With the 12th house, what else could I say? I feel as though that's pretty it or good in a general sense. Your children could get education outside the state or country. You can have your kid outside of the state or the country. You might keep your kids hidden or a secret or whatever to people. Might not really flash and show them off. I'm gonna look at my notes, make sure that I ain't missing nothing. But like I told y'all, I didn't take many notes for this video. But that's essentially it. I'm a goddamn Virgo ascendant, so yes, that sounds pretty goddamn accurate in a general nutshell about the goddamn things that I said about myself and told y'all and shit. Another reason why this video was so it still is goddamn long. Usually they be like an hour and some change, but I was pissed. I made my Leo video, tried to upload it. I couldn't fucking upload it because the way I recorded it, the file was too fucking huge, and when I uploaded it, it took YouTube forever to process the fucking video, and it just stopped. So I said, fuck, pissed, and I just boom created this video very fucking quickly. But you know, it was quickly. I got straight to the point, gave y'all the fucking knowledge, and eventually, especially if you're looking at this way in the future, the Leo video will already be up by then. But yeah, I have nothing else to say. I thank y'all, my audience, for rocking out with me, even despite my inconsistency and hiatus and whatnot. And I will see y'all whenever I make my next video. Thank you.